Welcome in our second interview with Mr. William Steele. We call him Will. I like the name Will. Will doesn't know, I'm not sure if he doesn't, I never shared this with him before that. I met with Will at about 25 years ago, and when I was introduced to him, he told me he's Will Steele. I didn't relate the name Will to William, but I know in English Will is like Will, so I love the name Will Steele, like Steel Will, you know what I mean? Very strong Will. And I like the name, and I like the character, and since that time he was leading a leadership program, and I was participating in that program, and we became friends. And I'm happy today to have my second interview with him, and we're talking about fitful leadership. Hi, Will. How are you?
Great, thank you. Yeah. Thanks for having me on the podcast.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Actually, I'm very excited about that. I would like to ask you today to start actually our conversation with a simple question that actually I think of a lot. Why would people like to follow fitful leaders?
Why would people like to follow fitful leaders?
Yeah.
Well, if you think about the worst leader you've ever had, like the worst boss you've ever had, or teacher, or, there's a certain way that they are that really puts you off. You end up, feeling forced or begrudgingly do what they're asking you to do, right? So that's not great. Whereas real power is not force. Yeah. You only need force if you don't have power.
Yeah.
So power is saying, we're doing this, we're going to accomplish this, and then you actually do that. That happens.
Mm-hmm.
That outcome happens, but it comes out of your mouth and then happens.
Yeah.
So one proponent of this in history, there's several I can think of: Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, Dr. Martin Luther King. Dr. Martin Luther King, I have a vision. I've been to the top of the mountaintop. That speech it took like 2 years of perfecting to get it absolutely correct. Absolutely the way he wanted it. And he had that vision. And people were inspired by that. They were moved by that. If he didn't say that speech and he just said, we need to march to Washington and demonstrate, that was very dangerous. People could actually get shot. So he would probably not have had that many people turn out compared to, I have a dream. He has a dream. He didn't just have black people. He had white people and all kinds of people come along because they were inspired. They wanted this unification. They wanted to just be able to get on, to live together.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that came from his inspiration. So a fitful leader, one of the things I talk about in my book is it's critical to create a vision that inspires you and inspires those around you. But the first has to inspire you. So it has to come from fitra. It has to be like an authentic expression for you of what you're here to accomplish in this lifetime. Now, it's not like you can find what that is, but you can invent that or create that. And to be able to create anything that's truly a creation, if you're an artist and you want to paint a painting, an original painting, you can't go to an existing painting and change bits or add bits. That's never an original painting. It's always a improvement or a change of an existing painting.
Yes.
So there's a condition you need to be able to create, which is you need a blank canvas. See, if you have a blank canvas, then you're now going to, from your mind or from your vision or from wherever, you're going to create art. You're going to create a creation that's an original.
Yes.
So the point of getting to fitra, right, which is the first half of our programs, it's the first half of my book, and it's why I realized I have to divide the book into two parts. The first part is you've got to get to a place where you're not, or you're back to fitra. You're at the, your true essence. You're true before you added anything. Until you got language, you were okay. And then you got language, you start describing the world and interpreting the world and making decisions about yourself and about others and about life, which it's necessary. I mean, you've got to decide what's dangerous, what's not dangerous, right? You've got to, survive. But unfortunately, it also brings limitations. You end up limiting yourself to being strong. You limit yourself to being hardworking. You limit yourself to being this nice person. You have to be nice even when you don't want to be nice. So we've got to unravel all of that to get you back to fitra, or in the analogy, a blank canvas. So now you can create who you are as a leader and what you're up to as a leader and what's the vision you want to realize in the world. Like our work together, you said, come and, we need a leadership program in the Middle East. We work together and, how you get to vision is a whole process in creating a vision that's authentic to you. You've got to start with, what's my purpose in life? And your purpose is what you love to do. It just happens, it fits with what you really love, right? And I love to make a difference with people. If I'm working with someone, I'm there listening for whatever it is that's going to make that difference with them. And then the lights go on and they're in fitra.
Yeah.
Yes? So my purpose is making a difference. What I'm about is making a difference. But that's not a vision. That's my purpose. So there's a difference between my purpose and my vision. So what's a vision? A vision is the fullest extrapolated realization of fulfilling that purpose, your purpose in the world. So, okay, I'm here, I'm making a difference. I'm here why am I doing these programs? Well, first, because you asked me to, and I said yes, so I'm here. But that got me in the game, right? This game. Then why am I continuing to do this? Well, it's because it fits with who I am. Who I am is I want to make a difference. And I get all these people to come and we get to make a difference with these people. Okay, now if we want to make that into a vision, expand that. What is the outcome of that? What would that make available in the world? Or another way to ask the question is, well, what am I building with that? What am I creating with that? Well, I'm creating lots of people do it. As many people as possible do it. Okay, what does that do? Well, have lots of people, cleaning up their relationships. Lots of people operating with integrity. Lots of people being inspired in what they're doing. People helping each other. People serving each other. People, having life work. All right, great. And then what does that make available? Well, if enough people did that, and if people in positions of great authority and power, if you like, in the world, who make these big decisions that impact millions of people, if they could be in fitra, that alters the world. So I have this vision. What we're about is we're here to transform the leadership of the world, but we happen to be in the Middle East, so we're transforming the leadership of the Middle East right now. That's what we're up to.
Yeah.
You see, that's a vision. That's like I can, ironing my shirt for this interview. I'm ironing the shirt. Why do I care? Because you got to look. There's got to be no distractions. You just want to hear what you got to say. So it's important, because without that, people won't listen. And then if they don't listen, there's no way you've got a chance of transforming the leadership of the Middle East. Mm-hmm. They're not going to listen to you. You can't turn up in a t-shirt and, shorts. There's a conforming such that you're going to get heard. I mean,
when the leader is conforming to fitra,
yes,
he automatically has a great impact on people around him.
But I can't speak for all people. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. But when people are inspired, they are more likely to help. They're more likely to want to be part of what you're up to. They're more likely to, in Martin Luther King's case, more likely to, we've got to walk, we've got to march, we've got to stand for this and take a stand for what he's creating. such that, if you're running a large organization and you want to do this, you got some project or you got some idea and you say, we're all going to do this. And then you find that people aren't really motivated and people aren't really aligned with it. You're going to struggle. But if you have a vision, and there's a way to do this, and I've done this with organizations where you get all the, ideally everybody in the company, but that's usually unwieldy and difficult, but at least all the senior leaders together and create a future together. I did that with a company in Saudi Arabia. And we had 40 of all the board directors, the C-suite, the owners of the company, the senior directors, and we had like 40 people in a room for 3 days. And it was about articulating what are they up to in the conversation. What are you here for? Why are you in this business? What is it you want to do with this business? If you could make an impact in the world, what would that impact be? And everybody wrote out some stuff, and then people voted on what people had said, and we got the main kind of statements on the board, and then we worked together until everybody was aligned with that's what we're up to. And it was literally everybody had a say. And if somebody couldn't I just don't get that piece because that's not really what we do. We do this and that, and everybody had to go, oh, okay, great. So we need to change that word to say that. Does that fit? Yes. All right, great. Can everybody align with that? Yeah, everybody aligns with that. All right, great. I mean, that's painstaking work, but when it comes together, boom, everybody's like, yeah, that's who we are. That's what we're about. That's what we're up to. That's us. That's our vision. So you're not trying to persuade them or cajole them or force them to do what you're trying to do because it's not yours. It's all of yours. It's yours, plural. And everybody's part of it. The logic is inescapable. If I create a vision and I want to fulfill that vision, I just happen to be working here, but it's my vision.
Yeah.
I mean, it speaks for itself. That's you're not trying to motivate people. They are inspired. They want that to happen.
So people see themselves in what the leader is sharing with them and what the leader is inviting them to be or to do.
Yeah. Well, they're part of the creation of it.
Yeah.
I remember doing that process with a former company that I worked in. I went through, a similar process. They're a lot more extensive and there's some other parts to it and et cetera. The way I do it is my version of having it fit in everyday worlds, right? But I think I ended up with either 2 words together or 1 word in the whole thing, right? That was my word. It came from my sentence that I put in. It's like, but I owned it. Some bits I wasn't so sure about, but I aligned. Okay, to make it fit, to make the thing keep moving. Okay, fine. I can align with that creatively. All right. Mm-hmm. So it's a whole process of creation, and if you're part of a creation, it's yours.
Yes.
I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it because that's what we created. That's what we're up to.
That's myself.
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah.
How would the fitful leader build or generate self-worth and self-confidence and self-trust so that he is very much living himself and he's very much there with people?
Yeah. So take any one of those that you stated, right? Let's take self-worth, right? So you realize you don't have a high self-worth.
Yeah.
Let's say. And, people walk around and they experience that. All right. So to be in Fitra, we've got to sort that out, right? What's that about, self-worth? So if I'm in a conversation of a low self-worth, gosh, then somewhere, I wasn't born that way. That's not Fitra.
Exactly.
So somewhere between now and being born, there's somewhere that started, right? There's a moment in time when something happened. And people mistakenly think it's what happened that made them have low self-worth.
Mhm.
No, what happened is just what happened. It's what I then decided, what I made that mean, how I interpreted that situation, what it meant about me, or what it meant about others, or what it meant about life. And then unbeknownst to me, that shapes the way I act in the world. And I'm now not only looking for evidence of what I've decided, I'm also acting consistent with what I've decided. So I interact with the world a certain way. Let's say I interact with the world from I'm not good enough, which is very common. That some form of I'm not good enough is very common for people.
Yes.
You know, I'm not pretty enough, or I'm not smart enough, or I'm not good looking enough, or I'm not strong enough, or I'm not big. You know, some form of that.
Yes.
So then you decide something to compensate for that. You know, my own example is, you know, my father told me, you know, we didn't plan a baby, and then we had 2 boys, we wanted a girl, and you popped out. You should have been a girl, and everyone thinks it's a joke, except the 3-year-old here.
Yeah.
That's the moment where I go, uh-oh, I wasn't wanted.
Yeah.
It's not quite what he said.
Exactly.
Okay, and that's enough. That's enough to now you're off down a tunnel, right? I'm the best. So life becomes about, in this case, having to be the best. Prove I'm the best. Find out why I'm better than others. In other words, find faults in other people. So become very critical of other people. And can't enjoy anything because it's never enough. I can find faults with myself. Oh yeah, you did that, but it wasn't this. Oh, it's great, but you could have done this. You know, it's never, ever fulfilling. So until you get that sorted out for yourself, like what he said, we didn't plan a baby. Doesn't mean I don't love you or don't want you. I haven't met you. Not till you're born. Not really. And they wanted a girl. I want a girl if I had 2 boys already. Doesn't mean I don't love you or want you because you come out and you're a boy. Oh, right, we don't want him. No, it's ridiculous. I went, wow. And all this, which fits with your medical stuff, all this trapped emotion, I didn't know it was trapped. I didn't even know it was there.
Yeah.
All this motion came up. It's like, I thought, what's going on with me? It was like literally an earthquake. All this sobbing and tears and then laughing. I mean, it's just all this mix of energy coming out, you know? And then it's like all came out. It was like, wow, I didn't even know all that was there. I mean, it's intense for like 10 minutes. And then I was like, wow, there's nothing wrong with me. And I never even thought to myself, there's something wrong with me. Never had that thought. However, that's the way you end up, some form of, I'm not okay. And I have to be better. Where I just, in that moment, got, I don't have to do anything.
Exactly.
I'm like here, in the moment. In other words, as we know now, in fitra. I'm in fitra. There is nothing to do. There's nowhere to get. There's nothing to fix. Nothing to improve.
Yes.
Because you're already perfect, whole, complete, just the way you are. Wow.
Brilliant.
From there, you can invent who you are as a leader. Well, what kind of leader do I want to be? What do I want to be up to in the world? You know?
Nothing is like stopping me. Nothing is
Nothing. You know, and I've got training. You've got training. I have training in leadership, you know, up to that point. You've got training in medicine. And here we are. You're in the world, out to impact in the biggest way possible through your medical knowledge, medical background, but connecting what we're talking about.
Yes. I would like to ask you a question. I would like to get actually your opinion on how do you see the relationship between feelings, emotion, and how a fitful leader manages them to manage them at the moment, at the now, so that he is actually living so much in his leadership and so much with great impact on himself, on others.
Yes, it's, what comes to mind is an example, right, of myself, and it's in my book, and it's in the chapter about fear, how fear stops us. And fear is not always overt. It's not like, oh, it's not always like that. Sometimes it's very subtle. Like, I just don't feel like doing the work that I'm supposed to be doing right now. Or I procrastinate, or I get distracted easily, or I'm just tired, or I just don't want to, or, there's many waes that fear shows up. Self-sabotage, fearing of the future, so it's not always obvious. So I've got this whole chapter on fear. And speaking about fitra. So fitra is a natural state. Unfortunately, we have a body.
Yes.
Right? And we need a body. We can't not have a body to be here. But people, unfortunately, relate to their body as who they are. That's me. Well, if you lost an arm, okay, yes, you wouldn't have an arm, but there'd be no less of you. You would still be you.
Yeah.
There's no less you because you don't have an arm. Yeah, you don't have an arm. Well, you have a body that doesn't have an arm. You are still you. Okay, so that's physical stuff. Then people think, well, my feelings, they're important to me, my feelings. Yeah, because you really feel them. You do feel them, right? So it really feels like you feel more real somehow because you're feeling your feelings. But consider they're not really you. And fear, I think, is a very, very tangible one for people to get. Something happens, you're feeling fear. You're driving along perfectly legally. You see a police car in your mirror. You feel fear. The brain works in a certain way, is that it is looking for, survival, right? And the amygdala will override the logic of the frontal cortex. Okay, so there you are. Completely logically that you're driving well, and then you see that, and the amygdala sees that, and panic. Because the emotions override the cognitive processes of the brain, because you've got to survive. Whatever you think, you've got to get out of the way, or whatever you think, you've got to run fast or fight. So fear is a good example. So there I am. I'm about to walk to the front of the room. When I was in London, I was about to walk to the front of the room. There's all these leaders there, and I start feeling all this fear, right? But I didn't quite identify it as fear. I just thought, oh God, I don't know. I just don't feel, man, I'm feeling like blocked to walk to the front, of like feeling stopped. What is going on with me? And I kind of locate it and I get it. It's all in my stomach. It's kind of like this, right? I went, oh, that's just my fear. That's not me. What's going on? What's actually causing that? I had a thought, I'm going to screw up, because thoughts aren't you either, but that's a whole other conversation. You have thoughts all the time. They're automatic.
Yes.
I'm going to screw up. I'm going to look stupid. I don't know what I'm talking about. And once they start, they come in like an avalanche, right? So you got that going on. You've got fear going on. You go, wait. Okay, yeah, my fear's there. All right, it's what's happening. That's what my body's doing right now. The thoughts, yes, I'm having these thoughts. All right, fine. What am I doing here? What's my purpose? What am I committed to? Oh, I'm here to empower these people, work with them with what they're dealing with, and empower them. All right, great. I'm going to go and do that. And the symptoms, if you like, kind of quieten down.
Yeah.
Because I am now not them. The moment you recognize it as what it is, you have a power over it. You're not it. But when you don't recognize it, you're kind of caught up in it like it is you. And you're identified with it as you. What we're doing is recognizing these different aspects that come along with being human, right? That are not actually you. They're just, the body. They're the feelings. They're the emotions you're experiencing. And there's the thoughts you're having. And so when you're able to distinguish those from you, there's a you. And there is none of that going on with you. Yes, you are imbued with this ability to experience all those things, hear them and feel them and see them, and they touch, but you also, once you've experienced fitra, you have now a a way to separate you from all that stuff. So you might not always be in fitra just because you've gotten to fitra. You know, as in my example, all of a sudden I'm not in fitra. I'm in this whirlwind of stuff going on.
Yes.
You know, which is much why meditation is okay, but it doesn't really last, because the moment you go out into life, you've got all this stuff to deal with.
Yes.
And your brain is doing what it's doing. It's sending signals and firing off and all of that stuff. So getting back to your question, how does a fitra leader deal with all of that? You deal with it by being able to, having done the work you and I are doing now and the courses we're offering and reading the book, able to see it for what it is. And once you can see it for what it is, the game's up. You're no longer tricked, you know? It's like, I don't know if you have Wizard of Oz out here. Did you have the Wizard of Oz movie?
I think we have the movie, yes.
Yes, at the end where they pull the curtain back, and the big bad Wizard of Oz is this little guy who's just... Well, when you get all these emotions and fears and for what they are, it's like, it's not real.
Yeah. It's all like a delusion or...
Well, yeah, I mean, sometimes it's valuable. Obviously, that's what's had us survive thousands and thousands of years. You know, you don't get eaten by the tiger. You run that way fast, you know?
Then I see the question coming. How would a fitra leader handle his or her childhood traumas?
How would they handle their traumas?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, supported by knowledge, right? The knowledge of what we're doing. And, you know, you see people walk around like that, childhood trauma, I'm traumatized. And I mean, everybody's traumatized these days. Yeah. When I was a kid, half the stuff they're talking about is not a trauma. That's just normal life.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I got beaten up as a kid. I got, you know, bullied sometimes. Had to work. I was from 3 years old. I went working. I had to deliver milk in Yorkshire, which is not like here where it's nice and warm. It's freezing cold and snow and ice and rain, and you get soaked through. And every day from 3 years old to about 17 when I started working, I every morning delivered milk. And you could say, I'm traumatized because I had to deliver milk. I'm not traumatized. It's just what happened. You know, yes, I made some decisions, you know, and you see, it's the decisions that shape you, as we mentioned earlier, you know. It's not the events. Even though sometimes, you know, I've led programs to over 90,000 people, and what human beings do to each other can be horrific, you know, as I mean, you just got to turn on the news, what people are doing with each other. So there is some big experiences, some real trauma happening in the world for people, but that's real trauma. And there's two things, right? So there's the reaction that gets stored in the body. So there is that, but what shapes and impacts you is the decisions, because you decide now that means something, but it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. It's just what happens. You know, if a building falls over, it doesn't mean anything. I mean, the building fell over. It means that, but it doesn't mean anything else.
Exactly.
You know, if your mother died, you know, you're going to feel sadness, but it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean you're now abandoned in the world.
Yeah.
You know, people say things like, my parents abandoned me. Well, wait, what do you mean they abandoned you? They throw you in the trash? What happened? No, I was brought up by my grandparents.
Yeah.
Why is that? Because my parents were working all the time. They abandoned me and just left me with my grandparents. So hold on. So if they left you in good care in your grandparents, did they feed you? Yes. Did they put you clothe you and put you in a house and wash you and send you off to school and bring you? Yeah, they did all that stuff. Oh, okay. So you were actually taken care of. Your parents had you be taken care of.
Yes.
It's very different from abandoned. See, once you've labeled yourself abandoned, there's a whole other world of stuff going on.
Yes.
I'm this abandoned person. They're going to abandon me, you know, because it looks like your partner doesn't love you in this moment. So now you feel abandoned again. It brings it all back. So there's work to do, you know, there's work to do to distinguish that stuff. And in this very room, we were leading a program probably a year ago, you and I, and a lady was here from Belgium. And I mean, she couldn't stand up. She collapsed to the floor. She got in touch with this incident that had happened, but it's what she made it mean. You know, that she's less than, and I can't even remember what it was, but she started crying and howling, and it was like the whole room was shaking. And I said to you, look, this is why people need to do this course before or in combination with doing your medical work, because all that stuff's in the body.
Yes.
It's in the body because it's trapped inside the misidentification with the meaning you've made it all mean and what happened. So it keeps it all trapped until that moment when you realize that's not true. Oh, what? Wow, that's not, and it opens the door and lets all of that stuff out. It's very, like, save you years of doing your work.
That's true.
You know, save people, because you get to the source of the imbalance in the emotions. Of course there's an imbalance in the emotions because of what you've decided and how you've now kind of reacted to life inside of all of that.
Yes.
You know, so how they deal with trauma is they come and do this program, or, you know, read my book and get some coaching, you know, and deal with it as it comes up, and it may not come up straight away. You know, it's like it unfolds, it opens up when it opens up. That's why when I'm coaching people, I take them for a year, because a minimum of a year, because things are going to happen over the course of a year. You know, if you've got a project, if you're trying to double the size of your business, if you're trying to go from one area to another area, you know, it's going to bring stuff up for you as your fears show up, as people react to you a certain way, or things happen. That's all happening. My perspective, that's great, because it's going to bring up stuff that we haven't talked about yet. Because I didn't think about that. This is bringing something up that happened when I was 7. When I was 7, this was happening. Yeah. Really? Oh, let's take a look at that. So now you're hesitating to make this deal in your business.
Yes.
You know, there's this multi-million-dollar deal not happening, and you can't figure out why. You're just kind of not getting to it. You know, I have a client right now, and they have spent about a year avoiding doing something, writing this report basically, that once submitted, they will then receive $12 million. And they put it off for a whole year. And I don't know why they put it off. It's like it's a mystery. Okay. All right, great. Well, that's really great. What do you mean it's really great? It's terrible. I'm suffering, and I can't make payroll for my company and all of that. And this money would just sort out so many problems. All right, good. But you know that, but it's not having you do it.
Exactly, yeah.
So that's not where to look.
Yeah.
I don't need to tell you what to do. There's people say, okay, what are your deliverables? If I take coaching with you, what are your deliverables? Deliverables. My deliverables are you accomplish what you really want to accomplish. Yes. You become the leader you really want to be.
Yeah.
What do you mean deliverables? I'm going to give you some course and take some steps. No, come here. Let's get to work on what's going on with you that's having you not be powerful right now in this thing that you're dealing with now, which, you know, in 2 weeks' time, it's something else.
That's true. That's very true.
I mean, I've been coaching you for 25 years.
Yes.
And we still get stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, and I've got 2 coaches, because I'm always trying to find out what else is getting in the way.
Yeah.
Because it's stuff that surfaces. And sometimes it's stuff like, well, I thought I dealt with that. Yeah, but it's coming up a slightly different way. Yeah. And he got you again.
Yes, that's true. That's true. So, very subtle change.
Yeah. So, you know, it's not like, oh, you do this thing and you know you're fixed for the rest of life. No, you do this thing, and you now have an access to getting to when it's not okay, getting to what's stopping you, what's blocking you, what's coming up from some childhood trauma that happened with you. Yeah. You know, when your brother got the meat sandwich and you had to settle for a cheese sandwich. That sounds like nothing to everybody else, but for you it means they love my brother more than me. Oh, really? And now you see all sorts of reasons why they love your brother more than you. And now you walk around sad in life because you're not loved.
Yeah, that's very true. Then we come to the last question of our interview today.
Yes.
In your opinion, how do you see the fitful leader inspirational, how they inspire. Would you see that fitra leaders inspiring themselves, inspiring people around them?
Yeah. Well, if you look at the word inspire, which I have, one of the definitions is to breathe life into.
Yeah.
Inspire.
Yeah.
Right? So as a fitra leader, first you've breathed life into yourself. You're up to something, and when you're knocked off, you got to go, what's going on with me? So I can get back to being up to what I'm up to. So people, look at the team. We just ran a program here, and the team were kind of all disheveled and disempowered and in all in different places, right?
Yeah.
Oh, well, let's have a meeting. Let's get everybody together and find out what's going on with people. Oh, this person spoke to all these potential customers, and they complained about this, and they complained about that, and said this didn't really work, and da. So now they were questioning their own validity of the program, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, well, okay, what actually happened? This happened. They said that. Yes. Okay. And where did you go with that? Well, I thought, oh, hang on. Yeah, does it? And so you start questioning yourself. Yeah. All right, good. Okay. Now, is that true? Well, I don't know. Well, let's look what happened for you. What was your actual experience? And then you had this conversation. All right, great. And everything altered. Yeah. Oh, interesting. And then they suddenly there's just somebody said something. Doesn't mean anything.
Exactly.
They just said that. People say all sorts of things. So once they got that, or whatever was good, there's different things for different people. Once they get that, and you can work with them to get that, that's where you went off. That's where you got disempowered. That's where you decided something, or that's when you went, oh yeah, because you've got a history of thinking that, and now, boom, now they're freed up. They go, oh, now what? Well, let's go and talk to people. Let's go and get on with our job. Let's go and do what we're supposed to do. And now they're back being powerful again. So breathing life into people, inspiring people, is basically freeing them up from where they've become not that. Because you get a bunch of kids together, they're full of life. Or before they've made all these decisions, animals are more fortunate than us in one respect. They don't have so much language. They have very little language.
Yeah.
So they can't make up stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They just carry on doing what they're doing. Inhibited. They're just, do all sorts of things that human beings wouldn't dare do in public. But they're no problem. It still mean anything. They're just doing it. I'm not suggesting that human beings should do the same kind of things. But once you can start to get what's going on with you and, distinguish between what's actually happened or happening and everything you're adding to it, the feelings, the thoughts, the emotions, the past history, your beliefs, and you can separate all that. It's just what's happening.
Yes.
And that's a lot more simple to deal with. One of the most powerful things you can do as a leader is keep getting what's actually the case. What's actually the case? What's so? Because when you don't know what's the actual case, you're in a swirl. Oh my God, we're behind. Oh, we haven't got this done. We haven't got that done. You're all over the place. People are getting to overwhelm. That's a term people use. Once you get, I'm just overwhelmed. I've got so much stuff. Okay, stop. That's what I do with people. I say, okay, stop. They call me, between our coach goes, I'm just so overwhelmed. I just thought I'd call you because I'm just like, I don't know what to do. Stop. Get a pad of paper, a blank pad, and write down all your thoughts. Write down all the things you need to get done you're not getting done. Write down all your concerns. And then write everything down. All right, great. Anything else? No. All right, great. Okay. What of all of those things do you need to handle first? Oh, well, that needs to get handled. Okay, great. Okay, put it in your calendar. When can you do that? I can do that there. All right, great. Done. And you start now having some grounding, and you can just take actions that are fulfilling what you're up to. That's keeps you on track, gets things moving, takes all the drama, all the story out of it, all the noise, so you just be clear and present in the moment and dealing with what there is to deal with. And And those people, productivity goes through the roof.
Brilliant. Thank you, Will.
You're welcome.
Actually, it was a great conversation and great interview, and thank you. And we will have more of these interviews because you are visiting us here in Cairo.
Yeah,
So
great.
we are taking advantage of you. So thank you, and we'll have another interview tomorrow.
Great.
Or soon, inshallah.
Yeah.
Thank
good.
you, Will.
Thank you.